Hello. If anyone gives you any radiograph, always look for the 4 points. That is, whether it is a plain radiograph or contrast radiograph, what is the region of the radiograph, what is the view of it, and the side of it. Now, if suppose this is a radiograph which is given to you in your exams, we have to look for whether it is a plain radiograph or contrast. As no contrast agent is seen, it is a plain radiograph. Okay, so plain radiograph, but I've told you that second point you have to write about the region. So here we can see the pelvic region. So that's why this is a plain radiograph of pelvis region. Now don't use the word X-ray. It is a layman term. X-rays can't be visualized with the eyes. Instead, you can use the words as skygram or radiograph. The third point which I said to you, that while telling about any or reading any radiograph, you have to tell about the view of it, whether it is anterior posterior view or posterior anterior view or lateral view or oblique view, etc. This is an AP view. What do you mean by AP view? AP view is a view in which plate is posterior and rays are coming from the anterior aspect. And the fourth thing you have to say about the side of the radiograph, that is whether it is bilateral or unilateral. If it is unilateral, you have to tell whether it is of right side or left side. So to summarize, while reading any radiograph, tell always these 4 points, whether it is plain or contrast, the first point, second point is region, third point is view, and fourth point is side. So we can read this as, this is a plain radiograph of pelvic region, which is an anterior posterior view and bilateral. The systematic review of this plain radiograph of the pelvis is, first look for the 3 rings. The first, trace the main pelvic ring. This is the main pelvic ring, and there are the 2 small rings which are called as the obturator foramen. If the ring is disturbed, think about the fracture. Then look for the second one. Second thing, you are going to look for the joint spaces, the sacroiliac joints which are seen here, as well as the pubic symphysis joint. If either joint space is widened, think main pelvic ring fracture. The third thing, you have to look for the acetabulum, its anterior rim, the posterior rim of the acetabulum, the roof of the acetabulum you have to look for. Then look for the sacral foramina. The arcuate line should be smooth and symmetrical. If the lines are angulated, then think of sacral fracture. Also look for the proximal part of the femur, the cortex of the femur, then the head of the femur, the neck of the femur, the greater trochanter and the lesser trochanter should be smoother with a normal trabecular pattern on AP and lateral view. If cortical disruption or trabecular pattern is disturbed or transverse sclerosis, think fracture proximal femur. Trace for the Shinton's line. So this is the Shinton's line which is seen. If the line is disturbed, then think of the fracture of the proximal femur. Then look for the soft tissue shadows which is seen in this. Mainly in the pelvic region or perineal region, you are going to look for the shadow of the external genitalia, from which we can identify the gender of the patient. In this, we can also see for the gaseous shadow, which is of the gas which is present in the rectum and sigmoid colon. And then you search for any abnormal shadows which are seen on this radiograph. So in this way, you are going to read the plain radiograph of the pelvis. If in exams you have been provided with 2 of the radiographs, one is of female and one is of male pelvic radiographs, then you should tell us the difference between the male radiograph as well as the female. As in this, you can see the pelvic inlet, which is heart shaped in case of the male radiograph, and the pelvic cavity is longer and more conical and represents a long section of a short cone. The symphysis and body of the pubis are elongated. Whereas in case of the female, the pelvic inlet here, it is round in shape and all the diameters are longer than that of the males. And the pelvic cavity is shorter and more cylindrical, and it represents a short section of a long cone. Pubic symphysis and pubic body are shorter in length. The subpubic angle in case of the male pelvis is about 50 to 60 degrees, whereas in case of females, the subpubic angle is about 90 degrees. Then we can see also the difference in the sacrum, that is, the sacrum in case of female is shorter and more wider, whereas in case of males, the sacrum is elongated or long and narrower. Also, the soft tissue shadow helps us to differentiate between the male pelvis from the female pelvis, in which we can see here there is a soft tissue shadow of the male external genitalia which is seen in the male pelvis, which is absent in case of the female pelvis. Now you are clear about the plane radiograph of the pelvic region. Now let us study about the contrast radiograph of the pelvic region. When the contrast agent is given, we can visualize this contrast agent in the pelvic region. So first procedure is the hysterosalpingogram. So the procedure is called as hysterosalpingography. It is a procedure in which the contrast is injected into the uterus to study the uterine cavity as well as the fallopian tubes. The radiograph which is obtained is called as the hysterosalpingogram. This what is the duration in which this study is to be done is 5 to 10 days of the menstrual cycle, because we are confirmed that this lady is not pregnant and it will not harm the baby. So that's why the rule of 10 has to be asked to the patient. So what are the indications of doing hysterosalpingography? The indications, the first and most important is the infertility. In infertility, we have to demonstrate the patency of the fetal fallopian tubes and the communication with the peritoneal cavity. So here you can see this is the fallopian tube and the spillage we can see in the peritoneal cavity. It means if it is patent, we can see the communication with the peritoneal cavity. If it is obstructed or obliterated, then this fluid will not seen in the peritoneal cavity. So other indications are recurrent abortions following tubal surgery, migrated IUCDs, or uterine or tubal lesions such as tuberculosis, some fibroids, or it can be polyps or synecdoche. So these are also the indications for doing the hysterosalpingography. The contraindications are whenever the patient is having the pelvic sepsis, never do this. The pregnancy is also one of the contraindication to this. Then cervicitis, renal or any cardiac disease, you should not do this. So what's the procedure of doing this hysterosalpingography is, we are going to insert a cannula from this vagina till the internal os, and from there we are going to give 10 ml of Lipodol is injected and the skygrams are taken. In this skygram, we are going to look for the size of the uterus, the shape of the uterus, then we are going to study about this fallopian tubes and its spillage into the peritoneal cavity, which tells us about the patency. So this is studied, and this study, that is a hysterosalpingography, helps us to determine the anomalies of female genital tract, which can also be studied by means of ultrasonography, but patency mainly hysterosalpingography is done. So these are the various diagrams to show you the hysterosalpingography. This one is one of it. This is the other, in which the cannula is very nicely seen. And here also this is one. So hysterosalpingogram is one of the favorite question of all the examiners to be asked. So be prepared for it. Next is the pylography. Pylography, also called as the urography, is an radiological method in which the urinary tract is visualized. And the radiograph which is obtained is called as pylogram. So there are two types of the pylography, that is descending and one is the ascending. Descending means if we are giving the intravenous fluid to that patient and it excretes through the kidneys and it descends down. So that's why it's called as a descending type of pylography. And in ascending pylography, what we are going to do, the dye is injected directly into the ureter through an ureteric catheter guided through an cystoscope. This technique is called as the retrograde or instrumental or ascending type of pylography. So let's first see about the intravenous pylography, which is commonly called as IVP, intravenous pylography. It is also called as intravenous urogram, IVU. So this is a radiographic examination of the urinary tract, including the renal parenchyma, the calyces and the pelvis after the intravenous injection of the contrast media. So intravenous pyelogram is an misnomer as it implies the visualization of pelvis and calyces without the parenchyma. The term pyelogram is reserved for the retrograde studies visualizing only the collecting system. So what are the indications of doing the intravenous pylography, also called as the descending pylography, are in adults if there are the complaints of hematuria or pyuria. This is one of the most important indication. Then there can be the disease of the renal collecting system or renal pelvis. There can be calculus in the pelvic region. Then there can be obstructive uropathy, abnormalities of the ureters can be seen. But the most important is the functioning, differentiation of the function of both the kidneys can be seen in the IVP. This is the most important indication of doing the descending pyelogram. Then in children, some of the anomalies such as Vater anomalies, VATER, in which vertebral, anal, tracheoesophageal and renal anomalies are seen. So for identification of the renal anomalies, we usually do the IVP. Then malformation of the urinary tract such as polycystic disease, PUJ obstruction, etc. can also be seen. What are the contraindications of doing this IVP are if the patient is having some sensitivity towards the contrast agent, this should be contraindicated, that is IVP should not be done in that patients, as well as pregnancy is also the contraindication for doing IVP. So which are the contrast media which are used for doing this IVP are the Omnipaque, which is also called as iohexol, or sometimes iodine compounds such as urographene 60% or Conray 420 or Conray 280 can be used. Then what is the mode of injection? We have to give it by means of the IV bolus injection within 30 to 60 seconds. For preparation of the IVP procedure, one should be nil by mouth for at least 8 hours before the procedure, and the patient is asked to empty his bladder just before the injection of the dye. Then the procedure. A scout flame is taken including the kidneys, ureters and bladders and urethral regions on a large size of the flame when the patient is sleeping in a supine position, and then we are going to take serial skygrams, that is the excretory pyelograms are taken at 5, 10 and 30 minutes after the injection of the dye. The dye will reach to the urinary bladder by 30 minutes of. So in exam you are going to be provided with such a pyelogram in which you can see the cup shaped structure is the minor calyces, then these are the major calyces, the funnel shaped structure is the pelvis, and these are the ureter, and this is the urinary bladder. So this is the intravenous pylography.